So recently I've been kind of stuck on this idea that the harder I work at something and the more hours that I dedicate to it, the better the end result. And I'll be honest, over the last couple of years, that has been the solution to a lot of my problems. And, you know, it led me up this alley of time optimization and eventually to the Andrew Huberman morning routine, which, as some of you may know, I did a video on. And honestly, and I want to hold myself accountable here, although I haven't been practicing every single one of those things in full every single morning since I did that video a month ago, I have received a lot of benefits from it. But there has also been a massive drawback that has come along with this. And honestly, that is sleep. Because within this constant search of better time usage, I have kind of forgotten one thing, and that is me. That is my well-being. That is my health. That is the person that is trying to do all the work and push himself more and more. And honestly, I have sent my anxiety through the roof. I'll be real, and it's kind of grim. Like, I'm breaking out in stress rashes at the moment. I haven't been sleeping as a result because all I've been thinking about is what I'm doing the next day, what I can be doing to improve. And yeah, I am suffering. I am suffering massively. You know, and on the whole, I'm a man that likes to think in solutions. So that then got me thinking, okay, my sleep is suffering, I am suffering, how can I optimize that? And that got me then looking into what is the perfect evening routine. Now, for some context, this evening routine that I've kind of developed is a mesh of a couple of things. Firstly, some things that I've seen Andrew Huberman talk about. Now, Andrew Huberman himself hasn't really necessarily spoken about what the ultimate evening routine is. He kind of suggested some things that he follows, but I think we could do one better. So then that then led me down the route of like, right, okay, is there anything that I can personally add to this? Now, on my side, I've read a couple of scientific papers, I've watched a couple of other people's videos, and as a whole, I feel like I've developed what I personally believe is the ultimate scientific evening routine. So as you can probably tell, it's not really the evening right now, it's light outside, but I want to be prepared for this evening because I feel like a lot of what this is preparing yourself for the best day tomorrow. And the first thing on this list, and you are going to be very, very pleased to know, is eating. Now you might be like, well, James, I love to eat. I eat every evening. What's unique about this specific type of eating that I'm about to present to you? Well, there's some science, so get ready. Now, something that Andrew speaks about, and this is one of the things that I have drawn from him, is that you are meant to have a meal in the evening that is very carb heavy, that has a lot of starches in. Firstly, if you don't eat carbohydrates in your evening, your body does this weird thing where it releases adrenaline, and if you guys don't know what adrenaline does, it makes you excited, it makes you pumped, and we don't want that because, you know, in the evening, we're trying to relax, we're trying to settle, ready for that perfect beauty sleep. And secondly, if you do eat carbohydrates, which is what we're about to do, you basically reduce your cortisol levels in the blood. And this is possibly one of the reasons why when you're stressed or you have anxiety, you tend to move towards eating, I don't know, comfort foods, which often contain a lot of starch and a lot of carbohydrates. So yeah, if you've ever wondered why when you're stressed you go, oh, you know what, I really fancy some chips or a donut or whatever, this is kind of why. Although obviously, and I'm sorry to break it to you, I'm not going to be having donuts for dinner. We're going to be having pasta and a pasta recipe that I found on TikTok. Now, the pasta recipe in particular that we are going to eat is a onion pasta, and don't shoot the messenger. According to the guy who made it on TikTok, he said it was one of the best pasta dishes he'd ever made. And, you know, obviously because no one has a reason to lie on TikTok, I was sold. So yeah, we're gonna go and buy the ingredients for that because I'm about to have the best pasta dish ever. Another thing that I thought was really cool, and could you tell that I'm excited by this, is that basically when you eat a carbohydrate meal, it helps increase the amount of something called tryptophan or L-tryptophan in your blood. Now, L-tryptophan is a precursor for serotonin, and serotonin is a precursor for melatonin. Now, serotonin is obviously the feel-good hormone, so not only do you feel better when you eat carbohydrates, but also with the melatonin, that's the sleep hormone. When you're increasing that makes you feel more drowsy. You know, what can I say? There's lots of good stuff going on, really. Right, well, we've secured the onions for the greatest ever pasta dish, which I bought alongside something called kumquats, which I thought I would just show you because they're kind of interesting. They're basically like baby oranges, except they're shaped like grapes. And supposedly, you eat them peel and all. That is the weirdest thing I've ever eaten. Anyways, one final thing that I forgot to mention is the reason we're eating at 6:30 is basically to allow ourselves time to digest the food and be ready for bed. Otherwise, if you're just eating just before you go to bed, your body's still processing it and that will damage your sleep pattern. And you know what? As someone who normally eats just before they go to bed, maybe it's about time that I listen to my own advice. Anyways, I shall see you at 6:30 on the dot for the greatest ever pasta dish. Well, man. Here's my crying debut. Jesus Christ, those onions. I got this as a moving in present. Kind of ironic that I'm opening it literally as I'm about to move out. Well, that took a lot longer than I expected. This is a lot of carbohydrate. If this doesn't work, you're gonna know. Gotta be honest, not as good as the man said on TikTok. That might be down to my cooking. I think I maybe should have left the onions a little bit longer. However, to be honest, compared to the food that I used to eat during my first year at university, that is fine dining. Anyways, the next thing on the agenda, now that I've eaten an entire village's worth of pasta, is an evening walk. Now, the reason that we're going to go on an evening walk is, number one, it's light exercise. Well, if you don't know, light exercise reduces your cortisol level. As someone who gets very stressed, that is pretty ideal. And number two, we're looking to sort of tap into that natural circadian rhythm that we respond to with light. So obviously, in the morning, going back to the morning routine, the natural light wakes us up. And in the evening, as the light sort of fades and it goes down, we're getting ready for bed. The melatonin is coming in. We're feeling good, we're feeling relaxed. Now, obviously, another thing you might have noticed as it's got darker, because it seems to get dark ridiculously early now, is that we're sort of bringing in some ambiance. We're reducing the amount of light levels, turning the dimmers on. I mean, I don't own dimmers, this house isn't that fancy, but, we've got the lamp on, we've got some sort of undercover lights. And again, this is just to sort of play into our natural body clock of, it's time to go to bed, James, it's time to relax, it's time to go to sleep, which is obviously the aim of what we're trying to do. So, let's go for a walk. Gonna be really honest, there is just something about being outside. I really think that walks in the evening or walks or just generally being outdoors is so good for your mental health. Sometimes it really is the really little things that make all the difference. And getting outside makes you realize how insignificant your tiny little problems are. Side note, I'm gonna have to move home in maybe a couple of days, and I'm really gonna miss this. London is something else during sunset. I actually ended up staying out quite a lot longer because I was really enjoying it. So that 20-minute walk kind of turned into a 45-minute walk. Sometimes it's just nice to have your thoughts and some beautiful sights. It's great to clear your mind, great to stretch your legs. It's kind of just like a pause in the day where you can sort of reflect on what you've done and pat yourself on the back. I quite often find that I don't really have time to ever be like, wow, I did that today. You know what? I think I might be integrating that into my daily life no matter what the result is. And then on top of that, we're feeling tired. So it's all working in the right direction. Now, the next step, and this is actually something that I took from another creator's video, is a clean and tidy room. Now, this is coming from someone who is probably the messiest person you're ever going to meet. I am getting better. I want to say I'm getting better. I mean, at one point when my girlfriend first started dating me, you literally wouldn't be able to see my floor. But supposedly, according to a study conducted at New York St. Lawrence, a clean room leads to a clear mind, and therefore people will seem to sleep better. Now, luckily for me, I have taken almost every single one of my belongings home because I am moving home in about a week. So there is not very much in here for me to tidy up. So I think we're just going to sit down and say that this is kind of tidy and accept that this is about as good as it gets. I mean, if you ignore the fact that there are 2 bedrobes on the bed, that's just because I took my duvet home and that is the only way to keep warm at night. Another thing to note within this, and something else that she mentioned, is clean sheets. Now, it was kind of shown in a study that people that had clean sheets also slept better. However, again, because I've taken absolutely everything home, I have no other sheets other than the ones that are currently on my bed. So there'll be no clean sheets this evening, but I thought I would just brush over that in case you are someone who hasn't cleaned their sheets in about 3 months, because I've also done that. In my first year at university, that was unfortunately something that I took part in. But other than that, I think that this is a good job. So miraculously, we're going to move on to the next step. Now, following on from that, and this is something that Andrew sort of speaks about, is no phone in the bedroom, or no phone actually in the evening. Now, my girlfriend has gone out this evening, so I feel like as the responsible boyfriend, I can't just switch my phone off and put it in another room as much as I would love to, because obviously if something goes wrong for her this evening, I kind of need to be there to pick up the pieces, because you know, it's London and things do happen. So rather than doing the sort of thing that I did with the 48 hours, which was wrap my phone up in a box and throw it away, I'm just going to sort of put it in another room and have the speaker on very loud. For now, we're just going to kind of leave it on the stairs. Now, the reason that you do this is kind of self-explanatory. If you are someone like myself who is well and truly addicted to their phone, you'll realise the grip and hold that it has over you. And in reality, the way that these sites keep you on and keep you scrolling is through sort of cortisol and serotonin. And as we kind of mentioned, they're going to be kind of working against us going to sleep. So that is kind of the reason that we're putting that in another room. Another reason is obviously blue light and melatonin, and that disrupts your circadian rhythm. So kind of having that away and putting it away is, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Andrew Huberman himself sort of talks about how, you know, in the evening he'll listen to music or he'll read a book, which I really need to finish this, so we will be doing that this evening. Again, just kind of all things away from the phone. Before we do crack this bad boy open, there is another step and the next stage within this, which is a hot shower. For me personally, a hot shower is probably the thing that I look forward to most during the day. And when I was doing my research for this video, I actually stumbled across the fact that there is actually some scientific evidence behind why you should do a hot shower, which I thought was really, really cool. Basically, the reason that having a hot shower is beneficial is because having a warm shower raises your body temperature, and then your body will try and counteract this, right? And to do this, it will try and lower your body temperature, because that's homeostasis, which is your body's way of counteracting this increase in temperature. Now, a decrease in body temperature is like one of the number one reasons, or one of the number one signals to your body that it's time to go to sleep. And on top of this, it also causes vasodilation, which is when your veins and your arteries sort of dilate and allow more blood flow to basically areas of your body where you're more capable of losing heat, like your hands or your feet. And during this process, it sort of enables you to relax. You know, I might not be studying science anymore, but I can certainly read about it still. So yeah, we're gonna have a warm shower now, and I am going to relax. Also, don't forget to brush your teeth, because it's very important, and you know. Now, another thing that I thought I'd just quickly mention, these are just things that don't affect me, so I kind of hadn't really mentioned them prior, but this might affect you. Number one, no alcohol in the evening. Now, I don't drink. I've been sober for 21 months, so this doesn't really affect me, but obviously, yeah, alcohol's going to affect how you sleep. Let's just leave it as that. And now, the other one is coffee, and again, I don't drink coffee, so that's why I hadn't really mentioned it, but basically, don't drink coffee after 3 p.m. This is basically because caffeine will stay in your system for up to 8 to 10 hours, and if you want to know the exact science behind that, watch the last video in the morning routine, but yeah, you won't be able to sleep basically, so don't do that either. Anyways, the final thing that Andrew sort of touches upon within this sort of sleep routine is supplements before you go to bed. And I do have my laptop here for this because this isn't really my area of expertise. Now, one thing that I want to note before I delve into what these supplements are that he says will help you sleep is, firstly, Andrew is sponsored by a supplement company. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that he is financially in debt to these companies and therefore will abide by everything that they say. However, from my own personal research and the research that I wrote my dissertation on, which was basically looking at supplemental omega-3, there is no clinical proven benefit of taking supplements beyond being in clinical deficiency. So unless you are literally clinically deficient in a supplement, there is no real proof that any of these supplements that they sell work. But, and I want you also to consider the flip side of it, because I am going to tell you the science as well. So, you know, bear a second. Take it with an open mind. Again, science isn't always right on both sides of the argument, so take it with a pinch of salt, is all I'm trying to say. Now, the first supplement that he recommends is magnesium bisglycinate and threonate. which he actually says you can track yourself. And basically what it's shown to do is increase the amount of deep sleep that you get. And apparently if you actually have a watch or a tracker, you can actually track this. He also mentioned something called apigenin, which is a derivative of chamomile. And you're meant to take these between 30 and 60 minutes before you go to sleep. Another one that he recommended was theanine. This triggers a neurotransmitter called GABA, which shuts off the front part of your brain. Well, I mean, it doesn't shut it off in its entirety, but it will slow down the front part of your brain and basically get you into a more sedative state and help you sleep. I mean, look, I'm not going to delve into the science any further than that because I personally don't really believe in it. If you want to try them, do your own research on them. Maybe they are something that could really work for you. Sometimes the placebo effect in itself can be really beneficial, but just take it with a pinch of salt and make up your own decision on it. Anyways, now that I've said my piece on why you should or shouldn't take supplements, to-do list. To-do list is a really, really important part of my day and my routine. I've been writing a to-do list for probably 2 years now. It has changed my life in its entirety. The amount of things that you'll get done once you start writing a to-do list is scary. If there is anything in this list that I think you at home should be taking, is writing a to-do list. I am a true believer, and as I've mentioned many times, fail to prepare to fail. Writing a to-do list is something that even they mention in King Richard, which for those you don't know is a biopic film on Serena and Venus Williams. It is something that Richard Williams himself was a true believer in, and he galvanized the 2 greatest female athletes possibly ever. And look, if you want to achieve things the following day, having a routine is one thing, but actually writing down the things that you also want to achieve on top of that is equally as important. So yeah, write a to-do list. Something else to note, by the way, sleeping in pitch black is really important for setting your body's internal clock. Now, obviously, sleeping in pitch black when you're in London is not always possible. An alternative is investing in one of these bad boys. They're basically like curtains for your face. It's pitch black all the time because, well, you can't see because you're basically blindfolded while you're sleeping. Right, well, according to my watch, the time is currently 10:25. Not exactly sure how accurate that is, but I would assume that is roughly the time. I will finish my book at some point. We're getting there. I think I've got about 20 pages left to go. I don't know how people read so quickly. I once saw a video of someone who'd read a book every day that year. Maybe he was reading picture books. I'm gonna get some sleep, and I will see you in the morning, bright and breezy, to report whether this actually worked or not. So good morning. I feel brilliant. I really do. Last night is questionably the best I've slept in goodness knows how long. Probably since the last time that I used to read before bed, which is about 6 months ago. Like this morning, I feel so stress-free. I mean, recently, I've been really struggling with anxiety and stress. Finishing university has been tough. I feel like I've been lacking direction and purpose and trying to stay on top of things. Making what was originally my hobby my full-time job it's been difficult. And, I've started coming out in stress rashes, which is crazy. And this morning they're down, and I think I reached this point where I was just kept pushing myself in the hope that I would eventually find the answer. Do longer hours, go to bed later, wake up earlier, and then eventually at the back of all of this, the only person that's suffering is me. Ironically, the reality is that, waking up earlier and actually looking after yourself in the evening and going to bed at the right times means that I feel like this in the morning, and then I can then go and be even more productive, Like this morning, I've been on a walk, I've sorted out loads of stuff to do with work, enjoyed a very lovely breakfast with Freya. It was really nice. Now look, let's be realistic, last night was a lot. There are a lot of steps within that, and I also think that's why maybe Andrew Huberman himself hadn't really gone into this great depth of what he does in the evening, because it kind of ends up being robotic, it kind of ends up being regimental. Having said that though, there are a lot of things that I thought were added in that were just general things that you would do anyways. Warm shower, that's kind of general hygiene. Writing a to-do list, again, that's just general productivity that you should be looking to do anyways. And then to add in that sort of not having your phone in your room, I think is a brilliant idea. I think we are far too attached to our phones, and having a moment of either education, exploration, listening to some music, doing some meditation away from the device that sort of holds us captive, I think it's brilliant. And truth be told, yeah, fine, there was a lot, but it also will allow you to then do that morning routine and have that productivity burst and sort of go and achieve all of those things you want to do, because you're setting yourself up in the best possible manner to have all of that energy the next day. So yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is, look after the little things like going to bed early and going to bed at the right times. And the big things, which is your productivity the following day, will look after themselves. I hope you did enjoy. And yeah, as always, please make sure you like, subscribe, check out my other videos, and yeah, have a lovely day.